Photocatalytic CO2 reduction over niobium pentoxide and basic bismuth nitrate nanocomposites. This paper was published in Materials Research Bulletin and was written by Jéssica Oliveira, Juliana Torres, Renato Gonçalves, Cauê Ribeiro, Francisco Nogueira, and Luiz Ruótulo. The sugarcane is an important industrial sector in Brazil, since its processing leads to the obtainment of sugar and ethanol that can be used as biofuel. However, the ethanol plants are responsible for the emission of large amounts of pure carbon dioxide, and CO2 is one of the gases that cause the greenhouse effect and consequently the global warming. Natural photosynthesis is capable of converting CO2 into oxygen and glucose. However, the chlorophyll of plants cannot convert the high concentrations of CO2 that are currently in our atmosphere. Thus, an alternative would be the development of an efficient artificial photosynthesis system. This could be accomplished by the use of synthesized photocatalysts, which, under illumination, can convert CO2 into industrial chemicals such as carbon monoxide, methane, and ethylene. Therefore, the present work reports a study of basic bismuth nitrate and niobium pentoxide nanocomposites as photocatalysts for the artificial photosynthesis of CO2. The nanocomposites were synthesized by the oxidant peroxide method, followed by crystallization under two different hydrothermal conditions. The CO2 photoreduction assays were performed in a batch gas phase reactor containing 10 mg of powder deposited on a glass substrate by drop coating. Highly pure CO2 was passed through a water bubbler to produce a mixture of CO2 and water vapor at room temperature. Prior to the experiment, a flow of this mixture was passed through the experiment setup for 20 minutes. The assays were carried out for 6 hours under ultraviolet radiation at 30 degrees Celsius and atmospheric pressure. The sample hydrothermally treated at 120 degrees Celsius was named Nb2O5, and the sample hydrothermally treated at 230 degrees Celsius was named Nb230. PBBN is the pure basic bismuth nitrate. Although similar amounts of carbon monoxide were obtained using Nb120, PBBN, and niobium pentoxide, the production rate of ethylene was higher using Nb120, indicating that there is a synergistic effect of both components in the reduction process. Reuse tests were performed to evaluate the stability of the samples during 4 6-hour CO2 photocatalysis cycles. The reaction rates of CO2 conversion to carbon monoxide and ethylene decreased significantly after the first cycle. In order to understand the possible reasons for this phenomenon, FTIR spectra of the samples were acquired before and after the photoreduction assays. All the bands assigned to surface groups disappeared after the first cycle. Hence, the decrease of the photoactivity after the first cycle could be attributed to the elimination of these surface groups. The sample Nb-BBN-120 was chosen to elucidate the photocatalytic mechanism based on scavenger experiments and considering the band positions reported in the literature. The mechanism for the Nb-BBN-120 nanocomposite can be proposed as a Z-scheme. In this scheme, molecules are oxidized in the valence band of niobium pentoxide, and CO2 is reduced in the conduction band of basic bismuth nitrate. Therefore, we have shown for the first time that basic bismuth nitrate and niobium pentoxide nanocomposites can be used as active catalysts in the preferential photoconversion of CO2 to carbon monoxide and ethylene. Pure basic bismuth nitrate was selective for carbon monoxide production, while the use of Nb2O5 sample resulted in a substantial yield for carbon monoxide and ethylene production. It was also demonstrated that the photoreduction stability was affected by the presence of surface groups. Furthermore, a Z-scheme photocatalytic mechanism was proposed where Nb-BBN120 sample acted as an electron donor when photoactivated, explaining its photoreduction capacity. For further details, please see the paper published in Materials Research Bulletin.